Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Nicole weekly live stream. I'm Nicole. I'm your marketing lady friend, talking about all things related to marketing and tech in the frame of the small business owner. So again, my name is Nicole. I've had a marketing company for about 14 years here, and over the course of time, I have come across kind of a lot of different things that come up with my clients. And one of the things that's come up the last couple of weeks is getting a logo developed. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a graphic designer. I do work with graphic designers who do things like logo work, but part of my job involves working with companies as they figure out this whole process. Most of the time, people feel really overwhelmed with having a logo in a general way. And the reality is having a logo does a couple of things for you. First of all, it gives you an identity that's kind of, yes, you have a business, but you also, the logo kind of separates you from your business. Because if you don't have a logo, it's your face and that's kind of it. But if you have a logo, suddenly you have a visual identity and that's separate from you, which can be good for a lot of things. It can be good if you're adding people to your team. It can be good if you're, like I said, just wanting that separation. If you want to be taken kind of more seriously or have people think you're a bigger company, a logo can really help with that. The other thing with having a logo is it helps you make some branding decisions. So for example, I have a logo. I'll put her in the corner here. She's cute. She's typing. And by using this logo that has selections with my fonts, my colors, the sort of look and feel that I'm going for. So my logo communicates in shorthand what my business is about. So you might be at the point where you're starting your business or you've had a business for a while and you feel like you're ready for a logo. So what goes into that? Well, there's, a lot that goes into that. And there's a few different ways of working that I'd like to talk a little bit about today. And one of these might resonate with you. And the other thing to keep in mind is that your logo is going to change over time. And I want to tell you, I guess, the story about my logo, because I think that might be helpful for you to kind of see the different paths that are involved. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. So this is my first logo. Believe it or not, very impressive for 2007, this logo. What happened was I began life as a personal finance blogger, breaking even. And what I wanted to do was transition not just into the blogging, but people were asking me for help with their blog. They were asking me for tips to use Facebook. And I remember telling my now very first client, you'd pay me for that? And so that's how I started. So I actually was working for a newspaper that had a web design arm to it. And I paid my employer, it was kind of an interesting dynamic, to design my website. So normally, right, I'm the employee, but like in this case, I was the client. So I think that while it was a bit of an awkward situation, everybody kind of like worked pretty well together. And so my boss essentially, like I was his client as he was working on this logo. So he had tried a couple of logos. I didn't really like them. This was the third one. And part of the contract was there was 3 revisions. So I'm really glad I liked this third one because, third time's the charm, as they say. So I liked that she was typing on the computer, and so it kind of evoked the blog, but also, it also evoked that like I do work maybe that's related to the computer. I didn't want it tied into a certain social media website or anything like that because it was 2007. Facebook was pretty new on the scene, and I didn't know what else was going to come online. And so I didn't want to fence myself in and say that I only do this one thing because I knew things were going to change. So the computer gave me that flexibility. So I lived with this logo for a while. And then I started working about 7-ish years in with my friend Alice. And so if you've known me a while, you probably know Alice. She worked with me for 5 years. She comes from an animation background, so she's a really strong visual background. And she said, Nicole, I hate the logo. And so I said, okay, well, you're a skilled person, and she had some ideas for it. And so then version 2 of the logo came into place. So this is version 2 of the logo. Now, as you see here, she's gotten a little modernized. And so she got a better hairdo, and she got some glasses, which is like a little playful. Still kind of sticking in those colors, but maybe a more kind of, you could say, not grown up, but a less, pink version and a more kind of coral version of that pink color, but still the brightness. When I first had my first logo designed, I wanted to be really clear that it was a woman-owned company because I had been dealing with a certain group of people, and I wanted to communicate that I was a woman, and if that scared them off, I wanted that to happen. So this still evoked kind of a little bit of like, this is a female-owned company energy, but I think it was kind of a little bit more modern. And, this logo was great. And what happened was because Alice was on, the team, anytime we needed a different version of the logo, oh, hey, we need something for, the YouTube header, or we need something for our letterhead. She was able to kind of take the logo and sort of tweak it as needed. Now, Alice went back to animation, and good for her. And, one of my friends, Marty Lyons, so those of you who are in the Ellsworth, Maine area might know Marty. He's behind a lot of really great logos in the area that you see all the time. I was talking with him, we're having coffee, and he said, Nicole, I really, I sent him some work. He said, I'd like to work with you to redo your logo. And so I said, okay, do you notice something about me, which is that I make a decision and then it's done until someone else maybe tells me I should revisit it. And then I do. So, I worked with Marty, and he came up with this final version of our logo, which looks like this. So he basically, he kind of smoothed out her hair a little bit, kind of made the file a little bit crisp. He also changed her computer from, a more desktop computer to she's got a laptop. I also have a version where she's on a desktop computer, but it's a flat screen, which makes sense. And, what he also did in this process is he vectorized it. So basically the logo now, I can scale it up and I can scale it down, which allows me, if I wanted to buy a billboard or if I wanted to put it on a business card, the logo is going to look crisp no matter what size it's at. Also, he gave me the logo in a ton of different versions. As you see here, this is version, so he made a square version. He made a black and white version. He made a rectangle version. So he basically made every possible version of the logo I'd want, and gave me also the source files so that if I needed to change it, I could get in and change it. So, all this to say is that, even though I feel like we've kept the identity throughout the company, it's changed over the last 14 years because something that was cool 14 years ago is probably not cool now, let's face it. So what does this have to do with you, right? Other than me telling a long story about my logo. Well, first of all, you can keep the essence of something that you have if you really like it, while also making it more sophisticated. The other thing too is you kind of see the different kind of ways that I worked with people and how that came, how that kind of had its pros and cons. And so what I want to go through now is the options of getting a logo. So there's a few. So, and like I said, I'm not endorsing one of these necessarily. I'm just saying that they exist. So option one is you can have what's called a logo contest. So one of my clients recently wanted to do this. The great thing about the logo contest, and you can use a site like 99 Designs, there's a ton of them out there. And what you do is you kind of answer some questions about what you want and put it out there. And you agree that you're going to pay a certain amount of money to get the logo. So, for example, like let's look at this, one here, $399. Like we need a logo and banners. This is what we need them for. This is the look and feel of our company. And then people can basically submit a draft design. Now, what you're getting here is you're getting a lot of options. As you see here with this example, this person has gotten 241 designs. And that's a lot of different approaches to a logo. Now, the other thing I'll say about this is you're kind of getting everyone's best first draft. So like for better or for worse. Now, once you put it out there and people, submit designs, you have to pick one. You can't be like, oh yeah, I said I was going to pay them and then didn't. You have to pick a winning design and pay the amount they said you were going to pay, which I think is pretty fair. Now, part of what they do is they'll give you the logo files and everything. So let's say that you mostly like the logo, but maybe you want a slightly different color or something like that. What you could then do is take those files and obviously make that change, or have somebody make that change for you. So the pro with the contest is, like I said, you get a lot of different approaches. and you see a lot of different options. The cons are that it's everyone's best first draft. And sometimes if you're the kind of person who wants to really collaborate with someone, that might feel a little bit more transactional than you'd like. So that's option one. I've seen people use it, seen people like it, seen people don't like it. So feel free to think of that as one option. Option number two is you can work with a logo freelancer. So there's lots of websites that have freelance people on them that do different tasks. It's like Upwork, Fiverr, LinkedIn, whatever. You can find someone you want to work with and say, hey, I want you to design my logo. And you will kind of come up with a process. They probably have one because they probably work with a lot of different people. They probably have some process that they use with people. The pros of that, obviously, is you're working with somebody and you're sort of building that relationship. The cons are that if you pick someone and you think you're going to work well together, maybe you might work with them and find that that's that you don't work well with them in particular. So typically, like I said, someone like this, they might be a way to work with someone in an ongoing way that's maybe a little bit less expensive than somebody who's, say, like Marty Lyons, who's been doing this for 35 years. So I think the best way to investigate this is to look at their past work and see what their vibe is. And if you're similar, you probably like the product they produce. But everybody has kind of a style, right? And it's okay to not like someone's style or want something different. There's as many logo designers out there in styles of work as there are people who need them, I think. So you should be able to find someone that can work well this way. The third option is you can use a logo generator. So this is a really quick one, but also if you need something kind of fast, I was doing an event, like a one-day event, where I wanted a logo that was separate. And so I used a logo generator to just make something so I could put out, the event notice and stuff like that, have it be a little bit branded, but not, not like a whole, I didn't want a whole logo design for like this event I was just going to try one time. So I'll show you an example here. This is a Shopify's example, but there's lots. If you just Google logo generators, you'll see a bunch of them. But how it basically works is you give them, it's an automatic generator. So you pick, typically the category of business that you're in. So I'm going to say I'm in tech, and you give like your business name and maybe a couple of keywords, and it's going to come up with. Oh, come on. Oh, I have to click next. It would help if I did that. So then it's like, okay, what's my style? So I'm going to say I'm bold just to go through this a little quickly here. And I'm going to say my company is breaking even. I can see I did this the other day to kind of see. And I can put a slogan in if I want, which would add some additional text, but I'm just going to put that. And I'm going to say that I need it for a couple of things, like what kinds of use cases I need it for. And then what it's going to do is it's going to generate some options for me. Maybe it's going to ask me one more question. Are you going to ask me one more question? Okay. So this is what a logo generator is. So basically it just comes up with some stuff kind of quick and dirty and, pulls in some graphics. And you could look and say, pretend I like this one. But let's say that I didn't like this font. Like I like this, but I wanted a different font. I can typically, pick something different here with other fonts. So I can find some other options. So point being is if you kind of mostly like it, you can make some changes on it within the generator. And let's say that, let's pretend that I like this one. Again, just save some time. It says, great, here's your logo. You can download it and be able to use it in these packages. Now, this appears to be free, but what it's going to do is it's going to give you a sort of limited, it's not going to give me every possible version of the logo that, say, Marty gave me or that Alice was able to design for me, right? It's going to give me just a few kind of use cases for it. And it's probably going to give me a very relatively small file resolution. Mostly, I think these are good for like online uses and things like that. But when you start wanting to kind of make things bigger and things like that, or if you want something a little bit more sophisticated or a little bit more, we could just say complicated, these logo generators you'll see kind of fall a little short because, yeah, a lot of them kind of look a little bit generic. But if you just want to start with something that you don't hate, a logo generator can work really well. And finally, the final way to work with people, obviously, is to work with like a professional designer, somebody who has had a lot of logo experience, who basically does this all day. And like I said, what they're going to do is they're going to give you a vectorized logo. They're going to give it to you in different formats. They're going to lead you through the kinds of questions that like you could be asking or should be asking about your logo. Essentially, when you work with any kind of professional, they're going to anticipate what you need, and they're going to try to give it to you without you having to ask, which I think is a great way to save time and headache. These people obviously cost a little bit more money, but they are, somebody who's going to work with you. They'll meet with you. They'll, do a certain amount of revisions and that kind of thing. So if you're kind of a larger organization, or you're at the point now where you've lived with a logo for a while and you're really ready to kind of take it to that next level, you could take your concept to a professional designer and they'd be able to put it into some kind of computer situation and manipulate it and make it look really, really good. So if your budget's a little bit higher and you want something a little bit more comprehensive, I would say this is the way to go. Again, I started off with having a logo that was done as part of my initial website package. Some web designers do offer that, but a lot of us these days try to leave that to the professionals. So those are a few different ways that you can have a logo. There's nothing wrong with starting with something and then deciding to change your mind about it or redo it. I've certainly done it. And it's, I think, a process that really tells you a lot about your own taste, and it will inform other things that you need to do sort of branding wise for your business. And I think it's a good overall exercise for anybody to do and make your business more recognizable in real life and online. So that's all I've got. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them wherever you're watching this video. You can also send me an email, or you can contact me at any one of my social media channels. Look at that. These are all the places I am. And actually, I think not all of them, but actually most of them. I'm on some other ones too, but those are kind of the main ones. So if you connect with me there, that's another great way to start a conversation. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next Tuesday with another Ask Nicole topic. Always open for new ones too. So let me know if you have things you want me to address. Take care.